Now that Season 8 is out and everybody's mind is on PvP, I think it's time to talk about Cannonballs. What, you thought all Cannonballs were made equal? Far from it! Some of them are considerably more powerful than others, and once you learn how to acquire them, you could easily turn the tide of battle in your favor. Or at least I hope so. I mean, you guys know me, skill alone is not gonna win me any battles, meaning I'm gonna need any crutch I can find. So join me as my friends and I go out collecting some of the most powerful Cannonballs in the game before heading into battle in PvP. But I'd be remiss not to start at the bottom, so before we go out to harvest cursed Cannonballs, let's talk about the different types of projectiles and how you can get your hands on them. At the very bottom of the list, you're gonna find your standard run-of-the-mill hunks of metal that you can buy from a merchant. You can also buy even more of them from the shipwright if you are a captain. But if money is an issue, no worries, because you can also find plenty of those bad boys just waiting in random barrels for you to collect them, along with both blunderbombs and firebombs. We'll talk about those later. Though the storage crate you use to do set collecting also costs money. Now listen, you can go around outposts as well as inactive fortresses and make use of that storage crate you paid for, but what you really want are cursed Cannonballs. As much as most of these fellas don't deal any damage to the ship, they come in a variety of different flavors, all the way from forcing your opponents to dance to bringing down their anchor. And sure, of course you can randomly find them in barrels just like any other standard projectile, but there's a way you can harvest these reliably, and I'm about to show you how. As soon as we find a skelly ship, those bony bastards are gonna be vital in our attempts to get cursed Cannonballs, but unfortunately for us, we couldn't find a single one of them in 45 minutes of searching. Until... Skelly ship!
Hey!
There's a skelly ship right there, let's go! Let's go get it! Can you believe how happy I was about finding something so mundane? Most of the time, we just end up sinking skelly ships without thinking twice about it. But little do most people know that these things hold some of the most valuable Cannonballs in the game. Meaning this was the perfect timing for Rare to deny us of our goal yet again. They just despawned right in front of my face! You gotta be absolutely kidding me.
Why?
Dude, they dove down like they queued for a PvP battle. This is just not fair. Yeah, okay, I guess this just was not gonna be as easy as I had hoped. The worst part about this taking so long is the fact that these cursed Cannonballs aren't even the strongest ones in the game. I was gonna keep those for last, but so far, we struggled just getting a single one of them. Thankfully, when Rare closes a door, they also open a window. A skelly galleon had spawned a little ways away, and I mean, alright, that's gonna be a little more difficult than the sloop variety, but at that point, we couldn't really afford to be picky. So here's how this is gonna go down. Random skelly patrols don't usually aggro until you get too close or start firing at them, so try to get on there before they consider you an enemy. Once on, all you gotta do is run around to either dodge or destroy the grunts whilst waiting for the cannoneers to load up a cannonball for you to steal. So far, so simple. But hey, remember those firebombs I briefly mentioned at the start? Yeah, so the main use case for these things is fighting AI enemies. Skelly ships are not gonna be able to take a lot of shots at you when you are actively grilling them, which doesn't mean that you should never fire anything else at them. A few regular cannonballs would definitely be useful to actually sink them, which for us didn't happen to work.
Hello? Attack? Ready, can you shoot a cannon?
Nope.
Are our cannons not working?
Oh my god, our cannons aren't working.
That's gonna be a problem. No amount of cursed Cannonballs is gonna do anything for us if we can't actually fire them. Not that I made any progress on that front anyway, because as much as the skellies were loading their cannons, they didn't use any cursed projectiles. The only thing cursed about this was our session. First, we couldn't find any skelly ships, then they started despawning in our faces, and now, with us finally having found one, our cannons refused to fire. The last resort was, unfortunately, to restart our games and start anew on another server. So much for all the supplies we collected. This time we confirmed that our cannons did indeed work before setting sail, and it seemed very much like Rare was trying to make it up to us. There was not only a skelly ship, but a bona fide skelly fleet world event right in front of us. We were determined to harvest those cursed Cannonballs, and if it's the last gosh dang thing that we do, so onward onto a hopefully less buggy attempt number 2. So no firebombs on deck. Let's try to sink one of them and keep the other one afloat, alright? Morale check? Can I hear some voices?
Yay.
Let me hear your war. Was it your war cry?
We are top motivated. Okay, so after all these bugs we encountered, the crew's morale was definitely at an all-time low. I'm pretty sure our decision to server hop after going 45 minutes without a skelly ship is the culprit for at least the cannon bug, but that was neither here nor there. We've been at this for well over an hour without a single cursed cannonball to our names, though little did we know at the time that the bugs would begin to work in our favor. One of them sank?
No, I think you'd find a rock.
Oh, are you sure about that?
Wait, what? He is thinking.
Do you see what I'm seeing?
I know where we're going.
In a hilarious twist of fate, the Skelly fleet began sinking all on its own just as we arrived. We made an attempt to get a tag on the sinking ships just to make sure that we are given credit for the kill, hoping this will lead to the event continuing rather than despawning. And yes, we did get credit for the kill. The next wave of the Skelly fleet followed shortly after, meaning for the first time in our session we were spoiled for choice. Because you see, every Skelly ship can only hold one specific kind of cursed cannonball. The galleon immediately revealed theirs to us, which turned out to be a rigging ball. Not a bad one for sure. It was now my responsibility to get on that galley and begin siphoning their ammunition so that we can use it ourselves. But there is another way to find out what kinds of curses a Skelly ship is using without being shot by them, and that ended up causing me to change my mind. Let me take a look at the sloop real quick. They're supposed to have a banner that shows what cursed cannonballs they have. They have anchor balls!
Oh, hey.
Do not sink the sloop, do not sink the sloop. They have anchor balls. Okay, yeah, screw the galleon, screw the galleon. Honestly, sink it if you can. Now, that was something worth getting excited about. Among the purple ship-affecting cursed cannonballs in the game, many consider the anchor ball to be the absolute best. And I'm inclined to agree. As far as utility is concerned, it doesn't really get better than that. We can worry about destructive potential once we have secured these, so for now, we had our eyes firmly set on that prize. The method was the same I've already talked about before. Fight off the grunts whilst waiting for the cannoneers to load up a projectile, then stop them from actually firing it, and boom! We had our first anchor ball. Though to be fair, this was anything but easy. I kept getting swarmed by so many skeletons that I ran out of food in no time flat. Brandon actually came over to deliver me additional rations so that I can stay there and harvest more curses. But much to our dismay, we weren't allowed to harvest in peace any longer.
Oh, there's another brig coming up on us right now.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Cliff, brig behind us.
Yeah, let's double board them.
I'm on the left.
Just go up, go.
I'm gonna ank them.
One down.
I think he's solo.
What? Get supplies.
He has no cannonballs.
They're all in this crate. All his supplies are in this crate. What?
Oh, that's handy.
Oh, he was trying to give us his supplies, I think. And we murdered him.
Oh, whoops.
Okay, that's why I always say mics save lives. This was definitely one of those shoot first, ask questions later types of situations, but once we get a grasp of what is going on, we just kinda let that guy do his thing. Ironically, another solo brigantine rolled up minutes later, and I started to wonder if we had some kind of beacon atop our heads that marked our exact location. Oh, right, the world event. All you have to know is that neither of these guys were trying to cause any trouble. In fact, them being in the fleet actually helped us because with more targets around, the Skellies loaded their cannons more rapidly, and thus we got our hands on more cursed cannonballs. This was going so well, in fact, that Brandon and I collected a total of 4 anchor balls before we ran out of food and got yeeted into the Shadow Realm. So we completed the world event and had a brief conversation with one of the 2 brigantines who actually managed to stay afloat. They could keep the loot from the world event as thanks for helping us get our cannonballs, meaning we were ready to go into the end game. No, I don't mean PvP. There is one more type of cursed cannonballs that we wanted to acquire before heading into battle. My friends, I am not talking about the most useful cursed cannonball, but the strongest one. These things function as miniature gunpowder kegs that you can fire at your enemy. Sure, they don't make them dance and they don't drop their anchor, so their utility is not as good as some of the other curses. But nothing beats this projectile when it comes to sheer destructive potential. The Wraith Cannonball. And funnily enough, it is arguably even easier to get those than any other non-damaging cursed cannonballs. All you need is to buy the Phantom Fleet Voyage from the Order of Souls and you're already off to the races. The catch? Whether or not a Phantom Cannonball crate spawns is entirely RNG. Not only that, but if you're not careful, there's a very real chance that sailing into the broadside of the boss wave for this encounter is gonna leave you with more plot holes in your ship than the average episode of My Hero Academia. You're not gonna get around investing some cannonballs of your own to take on this voyage, and for us, it took a total of 3 attempts before we were granted what we were after. We got it! Let's go! Cannonball crate!
We got one. Let's go, dude.
Trying to fix my laptop charger problem.
I'm just gonna wait here. This was it. We had finally gotten our hands on every single type of cursed cannonball that we needed to fight another ship. Meaning it is about time to answer the question I posed at the start of the video. Do cursed cannonballs win fights? Well, have a look at it yourself.
The best shot you're gonna get.
Waves. I can't. The waves.
No.
Blunder spam.
Damn it, Rare.
The f***ing waves, dude! They literally just... I can't do anything. It is with a lot of disappointment that I must admit, cursed cannonballs do not win you fights. While we did eventually get to use our wraith balls to deal massive damage, this crew was incredibly sweaty and knew how to handle every single one of them. In my humble opinion, cursed projectiles are kind of a win more resource, rather than one that always turns the tide of battle. Experienced crews know how to handle them, and new players are probably gonna sink when you do use them, though in that case, you probably have won without using them anyway. As for our PvP match, we fought these guys for like an hour straight until both of us completely ran out of cannonballs, after which we agreed to decide the victor with a dice roll, which I really wish I could show you, but my hard drive ran out of space in the middle of this fight, and I didn't notice because of how much I was sweating against these dudes. Truly, the most powerful projectile in this game isn't one that deals the most damage, but the one that stops your enemies from dealing damage. And that is, and always will be, the Blunder Bomb. If you're interested in more content surrounding things that deal a lot of damage, may I suggest you check out my episode on Sea of Thieves' equivalent of a Modern Warfare 2 tactical nuke? You can find the code on screen right now. But until then, thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you guys have a day filled with the riches on the sea, and until next time, peace!